was August 2019. I was talking to a chick at the gym and I was struggling to do that. So I sent my friend a message, basically told him how I was feeling and what was going on in my mind. And I sent him this huge long paragraph, and basically he responded to me with,
"That's anxiety, bro."
Yeah, I was struggling with social anxiety. I try not to label things in my life, saying that somebody has social anxiety. For me anyway, it feels like it gives me an excuse to be able to feel socially anxious and to avoid social situations because I have social anxiety. I feel social anxiety is experienced differently for different people, and I just wanted to create this video to share my experience with dealing with social anxiety. And I don't create this video to say that I have overcome it. I'm just like you. I experience all the emotions, but my social anxiety that I felt is not as extreme as it used to be. I just have a better understanding of how to deal with it now. I want to tell a quick story before I go into this video and give a bit of context to why and how I kind of got social anxiety. The first 10 years of my life, I honestly beamed with confidence. I was extremely, charismatic and outgoing and really had no barriers. And my mum used to have a journal that she used to basically document my life from the ages of 4 to 18. And when I turned 18, my mum actually gave me this journal as a way to kind of look over parts of my life that I probably wouldn't have remembered. There was a journal entry in there about, when I was starting kindergarten, and basically the kindergarten teacher that I had sent my mum an email, or I think called her or something, basically saying how I was creating all these rules for all these games and everybody was following these rules and the rules weren't changing. So I was like, wow, well, I was really confident as a kid. And she also mentioned how basically I had no barriers and I was talking to all the kids in the older year groups and I was asking them to play with them, and I didn't care. I used to really, beam with confidence. And throughout the years that, slowly got dug down, and that kind of natural confidence that I had was lost. And, I'm still working on bringing that back up. The social anxiety kind of kicked in more so after puberty. And, I was kind of getting rejected by quite a few girls and was really not having any success in that way. And I think that was kind of adding to the fact that I was different from everybody else. And when I then turned 18 and started partying a lot more and going out and meeting new people, it really started to become quite obvious to me that I really struggled to socialize. And I would have to, get quite drunk to be able to socialize. And, I was becoming conscious of this, and I decided to, take action in my life and learn a little bit more about how I can change how I'm feeling. I just wanted to share a few points that help me to deal with social anxiety. Reflection. I like to reflect on times that I've felt really confident, times that I have broken through this barrier of being socially anxious and being fully expressed and fully myself around other people. I try to replicate exactly what I did, that night or that day that I was in that social situation to get me back to that state of breaking through those mental barriers. Maybe that's, saying the exact same things that we said last time. Personally, for me, it is purely just come from having as many interactions as possible, as many small talks and awkward conversations that eventually lead to a good conversation and allow me to get into almost like a flow state of socializing with people. There is a point where my mind is like, okay, this environment is safe, that my mind just automatically settles. I would even go back to childhood times and times in my childhood where I felt confident, and I would really reflect on why I felt that way and how I got to that state of being really confident. And I also like to journal my negative experiences as well. That's something that I used to do a lot. I used to write in how I was feeling and why I was feeling this way, and really kind of dissect my thoughts and lay them out onto this journal to get them out of my head. And I would then be able to, look at it and see why I felt this way. Perspective. I think we can only do so much reflecting until we are, actually in that moment of being socially anxious. And the biggest deal breaker for me when I am feeling social anxiety is to have perspective. Because when we have, all these thoughts going on in our minds, all these scenarios, all these mind games that our ego plays on us, we, become tunnel visioned and we lose sight of any other perspective. We're closed off. And, people will smile at us, people will invite us to conversation, and we'll be receiving nothing but positivity from people. But what is going on inside of us biologically does not actually allow us to see that. Our stress response has kicked in, and we literally are shut off to anything that does not cement the beliefs that we are having about ourselves, such as we are worthless, we are not good enough, we're ugly, we're not tall enough. So having perspective in this scenario has been absolutely key. I like to think about it as if I am shining a torch on the shadow parts of my mind and illuminating them and turning them into light, bringing them to light. And that torch is my consciousness. It is my awareness. Honestly, realizing that everybody is anxious. Everybody is feeling some form of anxiety towards each other. And we are all judging ourselves, and we're not alone. When we feel socially anxious, most other people are probably feeling the same, especially if we are meeting new people. So being able to kind of get to that perspective that, oh wow, they are probably actually feeling the same way I'm feeling, puts down, one of the 10 layers that are up in my mind right now. And just that one layer that has gone down out of the 10 helps a lot. We have to act. The unfortunate reality that I've come to find as an introverted only child that enjoys spending lots of time on my own is that, we have to socialize to overcome social anxiety, to deal with it. Nothing groundbreaking here, but it's like anything. If we wish to become better at baking banana bread, well, we have to bake banana bread. We don't have to put ourselves in these most scary and uncomfortable social situations to deal with this social anxiety and to overcome it. We just need to at least start and take those small incremental steps. Maybe that consists of, instead of going to your mate's house, you and your mates go to the club or something like that, and just slowly putting yourself in situations that force us to have to learn how to deal with this social anxiety, and that will slowly break a barrier of this social anxiety. And it wasn't easy screaming in the middle of a mall in front of hundreds of people. In fact, I nearly quit. My excuse right now is that there's kids around and I don't want to scream and scare them. This potentially will be the most embarrassing thing that I've ever done in my whole life. But I pushed through, and obviously this example is a lot more extreme, but sometimes, when we do push through, we find such a level of freedom on the other side. But the reality is, we're not always going to push through and put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Just purely the fact that we are doing something about it is enough. Going out to a social situation and having zero expectations is the best thing we can do, because we've already done the hardest part. We've already gone to this social situation. I think it's just important to remind ourselves that it is gonna get better and that we can overcome it. It will always be there. That's just part of being a human, but yeah, it doesn't have to run our lives. I just hope that this can help in some way or another. Of course, I think if this is something that you deal with on a very deep level, my video might not help to the extent that is required for you. Perhaps it's best to see a therapist or somebody who helps people with social anxiety for a living. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram as well if you'd like to connect more with me. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever it may be, and I will see you next video. Peace.